Mike Brown completely lost it on the referees, and the footage is everywhere. During the Kings' loss to the Thunder, the Sacramento head coach got right in the officials' faces in a heated confrontation that had the entire arena watching. But he wasn't done there. After the game, Brown went straight at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, calling him out as the best player in the league at selling fouls and manipulating referees. And the internet absolutely exploded. So let's break down the full sequence. The in-game blow-up that went viral, what Brown said about SGA in the post-game presser, and whether this is just a coach losing his cool or a fight the rest of the league has been wanting to pick for a long time. Here's what we know. The Sacramento Kings played the Oklahoma City Thunder, and during the game, there was a sequence involving Shai Gilgeous-Alexander that sent Mike Brown over the edge. According to a clip that went viral on social media, the refs did not want SGA to pick up his third foul, and Mike Brown was heated. The video showed Brown reacting on the sideline after what appeared to be a foul that should have been called on SGA but was not. Brown wanted the call. The referees did not make it, and Brown lost it. Now, this is not out of character for Mike Brown. This is a head coach who has a documented history of going at referees. The NBA previously fined Brown $50,000 for aggressively pursuing a game official during live play and for publicly criticizing the officiating after a Kings loss to the Milwaukee Bucks. During that incident, with just 10 minutes left of regulation play, Brown was ejected in the fourth quarter after he stormed onto the court, accidentally collided with Bucks forward Pat Connaughton, and began screaming at a referee. Kings players had to restrain him. That was back in January 2024, but it set a precedent for how Brown handles what he believes are bad calls. Then in November 2024, Brown went ballistic on the refs during a game against the Nets after they didn't call a foul on Colby Jones. Brown was livid and he let referee Scott Twardowski know. Brown chased Twardowski down while screaming at him. That incident earned him a $35,000 fine from the league for aggressively pursuing a referee. So when you see the clip of Brown going at the officials during the Thunder game about a non-call on SGA, you have to understand this is a man who has a pattern of confronting referees when he believes the officiating is wrong. He does not hold back. He does not wait for the post-game. He does it in real time, on the court, in front of everybody. But what made this particular incident different from the Bucks game or the Nets game is the post-game. After those previous incidents, Brown talked about consistency and communication from the referees in general terms. This time, he made it personal. This time, he named the player. After the loss, Mike Brown called out SGA directly. Brown said, and this is a direct quote, "He does a great job of convincing the referees, better than anybody in the league, that he's getting hit." That is a head coach of an NBA team going on record and saying that the reigning MVP manipulates officials. That is not a subtle comment about officiating consistency. That is not a coded remark about free throw disparity. That is Mike Brown pointing directly at SGA and saying, this guy is fooling the refs, and he does it better than anyone else in basketball. This is the heart of the story. It is not just that Brown was mad during the game. Coaches get mad during games every night. It is what he said after the game on the record, with cameras rolling. That is what made this go viral. Now, to understand why Brown's comments hit the way they did, you need to understand the context surrounding SGA and foul calls. This is not a new conversation. Accusations of foul baiting have been hurled at SGA for the last few years, but this season's critiques have been particularly harsh, given the success of both himself and his team. The reigning 2024-25 NBA MVP has appeared in 49 games this season and is averaging 31.8 points on 55.4% shooting and 39.0% three-point shooting, to go along with 6.4 assists, 4.4 rebounds, and 1.31 steals in 33.3 minutes per game. Those are elite numbers. Those are numbers that put you in the conversation for back-to-back MVPs. But a segment of the basketball world has consistently argued that a portion of those points come too easily, from the free throw line through what they considered to be manipulation of the officials. He was behind only Giannis Antetokounmpo for most free throw attempts during the regular season in the 2024-25 campaign. Overall, SGA averaged 8.8 free throws per game during the regular season, which was the second most by any player after Giannis Antetokounmpo. During the postseason, SGA averaged 9.2 free throws per game. Those are significant numbers. The label has followed him everywhere. He's been deemed a foul baiter, a scammer, an unethical hooper. Those are not my words. That is the perception from a vocal portion of the fan base. Though Shai deserves all the props in the world, the free throw merchant tag continues to follow him, mostly because he's always in the top 3 in terms of free throws made and attempted. The numbers back up the volume. The debate is about the method. One reason that fans get upset is how SGA gets these free throws. SGA isn't driving through three players like Giannis does, picking up excessive contact on virtually every play. Instead, he seems to foul bait or, in other words, purposefully exaggerate contact in order to obtain free throws. That is the crux of the criticism. It is not that he goes to the line a lot, it is how he gets there. A loping left-handed Gilgeous-Alexander drive, with SGA both sharply tightening his turn radius in the paint and decelerating to a dead stop at the same time, forcing contact from defenders in a congested lane. That is how the Ringer described one of his patented moves. During the 2025 Western Conference Finals, for a vocal majority of fans, SGA's antics have been antithetical to the renewed state of physicality in postseason basketball. He bends and writhes and falls down a ton. He is seemingly afforded an almost mystical whistle, drawing fouls with impunity. So when Mike Brown said what he said, that SGA does a better job of convincing the referees than anybody in the league, he was not introducing a new concept. He was adding a head coach's name and credibility to a conversation that has been happening for years in barbershops, on social media, and in arenas across the country. The difference is that players and fans saying it is one thing. A head coach saying it on the record after a loss is a completely different level of validation for that argument. And let us also acknowledge the timing. In 2 games since returning from a 9-game absence due to an abdominal strain, Gilgeous-Alexander appears to have not lost a step, as he has averaged 33.0 points, 7.0 assists, 3.5 rebounds, 3.0 steals, and 1.0 blocks in 33.5 minutes per contest. SGA came back from injury and immediately went back to dominating. That is the backdrop to this incident. He is playing at a level where defenders and coaches feel helpless, and when the whistle goes his way on top of that, frustration boils over. Mike Brown is not the first person to publicly criticize SGA's approach to drawing fouls. In fact, an entire roster of players, coaches, and analysts have weighed in on this debate over the past 2 years. The latest to join his list of critics was Boston Celtics forward Jaylen Brown, who had no malice against SGA but despised his foul-baiting techniques. Jaylen Brown was direct. He said, and this quote was all over the internet, "Shy is nice as fet K. I don't like the foul-baiting sh-t. It's a difference between drawing a foul and flopping. It's like flopping is like acting you get hit and you didn't get hit. If you got fouled, you got fouled." That distinction Jaylen Brown made is important. He is not saying SGA is not talented. He is saying there is a line between earning fouls through aggressive play and manufacturing fouls through acting. And in Jaylen Brown's view, SGA crosses that line. During a recent online stream, Jaylen highlighted how players had made foul baiting a new accepted reality. While it improved their numbers, it went against the spirit of the game. Acknowledging it, Brown felt it was one of the secrets to becoming an MVP in the modern era. Jaylen went even further when he said, and this stirred up significant conversation, "If you want to be a great player, you gotta sell your soul. You gotta be a flopper. We don't get the same calls. Some of these dudes are nice. They don't even need to flop. As soon as you feel contact, just fall to ground. Nah, bro. That's not basketball. That's the NBA, but it's not basketball." That last line from Jaylen Brown captures the frustration of so many people in the league. That's the NBA, but it's not basketball. That sums it up. The game allows it. The rules reward it. But does it represent the sport? During the 2025 Western Conference Finals, the issue reached a fever pitch. Gilgeous-Alexander finished Game 1 going 11 for 14 from the line, the most free throws he's taken in the postseason so far, and just 7 fewer than the entire Wolves team took that night. One player nearly matching an entire team's free throw attempts in a playoff game, that is the kind of stat that fuels the criticism. The discourse isn't about the game result, it's about SGA flopping and flailing his way to the line. Not only is it an unpleasant viewer experience, but the officials are giving him a whistle that no one else receives. How is it that Lou Dort and Alex Caruso can be pulling jerseys and reaching in on one end of the court, while Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards are being called for fouls when SGA initiates weak contact? Throughout the 2025 season, SGA earned a reputation as a foul drawer and a flopper, someone who intends to get fouled and shoot free throws, rather than try to score. This was seemingly a regularity, with instant replay showing him initiating contact and constantly falling down. Even the specifics were broken down. In one sequence during the Western Conference Finals, SGA was running towards the basket and barely touched Jaden McDaniels' jersey before crumbling to the ground, leading to an and one. It is worth noting that not only did SGA practically not make contact with Jaden at all, but he was the one who caused the contact in the first place. So Mike Brown saying what he said is not some isolated incident from a sore loser. He is joining a chorus. He is adding his voice to a conversation that includes Jaylen Brown, Anthony Edwards, Timberwolves fans, analysts across multiple platforms, and basketball viewers who have watched this play out for multiple seasons. The difference is the weight of a head coach's post-game comments versus a player's podcast clip or a fan's tweet. Now, in fairness, we need to present the other side of this debate. Because while Mike Brown, Jaylen Brown, and a significant portion of NBA fandom have labeled SGA a foul baiter, there are strong arguments that what he does is simply elite basketball. SGA has proven to be a generational scorer who will score from any spot on the court. Because of this, the defense is clueless about how to defend him. Swiping, hooking, and hitting his arm is their only hope of slowing SGA down. That is the fundamental counterargument. He does not get fouls because he tricks refs. He gets fouls because defenders cannot stop him any other way. SGA gets to the line as much as he does because of his otherworldly offensive skill and IQ. That is the take from those who believe the criticism is overblown. While having one of the most prolific scoring seasons, SGA hasn't gotten to the line enough. Gilgeous-Alexander currently leads the league in drives per game with 20.6, 2.8 more than second-place Jalen Brunson. Think about that. He drives more than anybody in the league. When you drive that often, you are going to get fouled. The volume of free throws is proportional to the volume of drives. It is simple math. In NBA history, there have been 90 30-plus point per game seasons, with 52 of those seasons having 10.0 plus free throw attempts per game. SGA's 8.8 attempts per game placed him 66th out of 90 for free throw attempts per game, despite averaging the 27th most points per game in a season. He was still in the bottom half of the all-time free throw attempts list. There have been 35, 32-plus point per game scoring seasons in NBA history, and SGA ranks 29th in free throw attempts among those players. That is a staggering piece of context. Relative to history, relative to other great scorers, SGA actually does not go to the line as much as you would expect for someone scoring at his volume. In the one game this season in which SGA did not shoot a single free throw, he scored 26 points, the most of any player who didn't shoot any free throws in a game this year. For the first time since December 2021, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander did not attempt a free throw in a game. He can score without the line. He proved that. When the whistle stays silent, he still puts up 26 points. And then there is the physical element that most casual viewers miss. Just from the eye test, SGA possesses outlier levels of flexibility and decelerative force for his size. The players in P3's database who would be most similar in both ankle flexibility and breaking ability are typically around 6 feet tall. Shai is 6'6". He moves in ways that a player his size is not supposed to move. His body mechanics create contact that looks manufactured, but is actually the result of unique physical traits. Steve Nash, one of the greatest point guards in history, explained it this way. He's a master of knowing what's an offensive foul, what's not enough of a bump. Nash said, it's almost like a gradual thing. I've made contact, I can push, that's enough. His momentum's going back, I haven't overdone it. Now I can step back. That lower body malleability allows him to move in curvilinear patterns that feel more akin to the movements of an ice skater than a basketball player. SGA himself has addressed the criticism. He said, in terms of the label, I don't care, I never cared. I've shot more free throws in a season than I did this season. I think because we're on top of everybody's radar, it's a little more noticeable. And now people care about it. I kind of see it as a compliment. That response tells you everything about his mentality. He does not engage with the noise. He sees the criticism as validation that he is playing at a level opponents cannot handle, and his results speak for themselves. Gilgeous-Alexander won the scoring title, MVP and Finals MVP, while leading the Thunder to their first title in 2024-25. Oklahoma City became the second youngest team to ever win an NBA championship and won 68 games, becoming just the 7th team in NBA history to do so. It stands to reason that the league's most prolific scorers would be more difficult to guard, and therefore draw more fouls. No matter how you feel about the way that Gilgeous-Alexander gets his points, you can't argue with his effectiveness. So the counter-argument is clear. SGA is not tricking refs. He is simply so good that defenders foul him because they have no other option, and the numbers, when put in historical context, do not make him an outlier at all. So now we come back to Mike Brown. We come back to the clip of him on the sideline, furious that SGA did not pick up a third foul. We come back to his post-game comments where he said, SGA convinces the referees better than anybody in the league. Where does this leave us? First, let us acknowledge the obvious. The Sacramento Kings are the NBA's worst team right now. That is not an opinion, that is the standings. When you are the worst team in the league and you lose to a championship caliber team, led by the reigning MVP, your complaints about officiating are going to be received differently than if you were a contender. That is the reality. Mike Brown is coaching a team that has been beaten by the Thunder repeatedly. In their last 5 meetings heading into the season, Oklahoma City had dominated, including a 144-110 blowout and a 121-105 victory. Earlier this season, Isaiah Hartenstein had a career-high 33 points, along with 19 rebounds, and the Thunder beat the Kings 132-101. This is not a rivalry between equals. This is one team dominating another, and the frustration from the losing side is accumulating. But does that invalidate what Brown said? Not necessarily, because he is not the only one saying it. He is not the first coach, player, or analyst to point out that SGA gets a favorable whistle. The question is whether calling it out changes anything. Historically, it does not. Calls of foul baiting persisted throughout James Harden's prime. It was one of the biggest storylines of the 2006 NBA Finals, wherein Dwyane Wade attempted an astounding 97 free throws in 6 games. Gilgeous-Alexander is simply the latest avatar. This cycle repeats itself every generation. There is always a player who masters the art of drawing fouls, always an outcry, and always a counter-argument that the player is simply too talented to guard cleanly. Harden heard it. Wade heard it. Now SGA hears it. This isn't a debate that's likely to die down anytime soon. Throughout league history, the most consistent way to put up high-scoring numbers is to get to the free throw line. It is baked into the structure of the sport. As long as the rules incentivize getting to the line, players will find ways to exploit those rules, and opponents will complain about it. Now, will Mike Brown face consequences for his comments? It would not be surprising. Previously, the NBA fined Brown $25,000 for a heated exchange with refs in a game against the Raptors. He was fined $50,000 for his court-storming outburst against a referee, and his laptop aided criticism of the officiating after the Bucks' loss. He has paid over 6 figures in fines related to officiating complaints. If the league decides that publicly accusing the reigning MVP of manipulating referees crosses a line, Brown could be looking at another fine. But based on his track record, that does not seem like something that would stop him. After a previous fine, Brown said, "I'm still a little confused, but I'm okay with it. I wanted to illustrate a point and I did that. Now's the time to move forward." That is his approach. Say what you need to say, take the fine, move on. The bigger picture here is about the NBA and how it handles the officiating of its biggest stars. The truth is that if the refs would stop calling these types of plays fouls, then Shea wouldn't be labeled a free throw merchant. You only get the free throws a ref gives to you. That is the most important point in this entire conversation. SGA is not rigging anything. He is not paying the refs. He is playing within the rules as they are enforced. If the league wants to change the outcome, the league needs to change the enforcement. If you were an NBA player and every time you sold contact to a ref, they would call a foul for you, wouldn't you keep doing it too? These are free points, essentially. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander has discovered that refs will call fouls if he sells it to them, and there is nothing wrong with that philosophy. Contorting your body in different ways, exaggerating contact. These are aspects of the game that SGA has mastered and reaps the benefits of. That doesn't mean that fans have to enjoy it, though. As fans of basketball, we like games to be decided in a free-flowing game. We like to see big shots, good defense, game winners. Games being decided by free throws is anticlimactic. While foul baiting is a part of the game, and has been for a long time, it becomes especially annoying when a player as good as Shea does it. And that might be the most frustrating part for coaches like Mike Brown and players like Jaylen Brown. SGA does not need to do it. Coming off as the NBA's 2024-25 MVP, Shea is currently averaging 32.4 points, 4.7 rebounds, and 6.4 assists. On 55.9% shooting from the field, he is shooting an impressive 43.2% from the three. He can score from anywhere. He can beat you off the dribble. He can pull up from mid-range. He can hit threes. He joined Wilt Chamberlain as the only players in NBA history to score 20 or more points in 100 straight games. That is historic company. That is generational talent. But he also goes to the free throw line at an elite rate, and the way he gets there looks to his critics like gamesmanship rather than natural scoring. And when a head coach says it on the record, it validates every fan who has yelled free throw merchant at their television screen. So did Mike Brown confront SGA for rigging the refs? That depends on how you define rigging. If rigging means SGA is cheating or breaking rules, no, there is no evidence of that. What Brown accused SGA of is being the best in the league at selling contact to referees, at convincing them he is getting hit when perhaps he is not. Is that rigging or is that skill? Is it manipulation or is it basketball IQ? Because of his talents, critics have created false narratives. The main complaint has been SGA is a foul baiter and a free throw merchant. Whether you see it as a false narrative or an inconvenient truth likely depends on which side of the court you are standing on. What is not debatable is this: Mike Brown said it. He said it loud. He said it on the record. and the basketball world heard him. Whether it leads to a fine, a rule change, or just another chapter in the ongoing SGA free throw saga, the clip and the quote are out there now, and they are not going away. The question for the league is whether they want to address it. The question for SGA is whether he cares. Based on everything he has said and done, the answer to that second question is clear. He does not, and he will be at the free throw line again tomorrow night, sinking both while the debate rages on without him.